I can post this later too. All right, so we're solving using square roots. So our first example, r squared equals 16. And remember, when we see r or p or v, we can also change that to x squared. It means the same thing. So what we're asking ourselves is what times itself equals 16? What times itself will give us 16? It has to be the same thing. We're not saying, oh, 8 times 2 is 16. We're saying what times itself is 16. Go ahead and throw your guesses in the chat. Make sure you're responding to me privately. I put it on so anybody could, I changed the settings so that you can respond to everybody, just because I know some people were having trouble to respond if I limit it. All right, we got some good responses already. So what times itself equals 16? The answer is good, 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So one of our values that makes this equation true is 4. There's actually one more. Any ideas about 8 times 8 is 64? It's not 8. It's kind of a trick question almost. There we go. Autumn has it. Yeah, Salwan has it too. -4 also works. -4 times -4. Negative times a negative is a positive. So -4 is also an answer that works. So for quadratics, we're going to notice that we're going to have 2 possible solutions to our quadratic equations. And how we can write this is x equals positive and -4. Now, somebody said, how about 8 and 2? Remember, we're saying what squared is 16? What times itself? That's what square means, right? Remember what x squared means. X squared means x times x. So what times itself is 16? So if you get stuck, if you didn't know, you didn't think about it, another way to solve is going to be to use your calculator. The inverse of the square of something is to take the square root. So in your calculator, you can put 16 and then you can use the square root key right here. Or if you're in your phone, $16, and then you're using this square root key here. So we have a new inverse, adding and subtracting our inverses, multiplying and dividing our inverse, and then we have the square and square root, which are also inverses. Okay, so that's where we're heading today. And we're just going to keep on kind of playing around with the different types of equations, exploring this today. All right, so next we have x squared equals 36. So what times itself gives us 36? Awesome job, everybody in the chat. Excellent. And we have two possible answers, right? We can use a calculator, we can take that square root, or we can think to ourselves, 6 times 6 is 36, so we're going to write 6, and then we use our positive and our negative. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to kick it up a notch. Up here. What about r squared equals 12? Now here's where we get into some tricky stuff that is not so straightforward, and this is why I want to kind of explore this stuff today before we get into the next few units. So this is not a perfect square. So we can use our calculator to approximate. And you don't have to write down all of everything I'm writing. I just do that as a visual. It's my habit. So we can go ahead and take the square root. And because we're using the calculator, because it's not a perfect square, we're going to write approximately. We're going to use this little squiggle to represent it that we are approximating. Well, that lets us know that we're approximating. It's not perfect. And we're going to get a decimal. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth. Awesome participation. I'd like to see somebody I haven't heard from today. Maybe Asif, Brian, Gianni just came in. Jay or Jalen. You're just using your calculator. Show me you know how to use your calculator. Take the square root of 12 in your calculator. Devin, you can use your phone and you can use your computer.
Hey guys, we're supposed to be privating our messages, right?
Yes, please. But that's okay. I mean, most people are. I think only a couple people are not. Okay, so we should get, let's see, 3.12. And we can make an estimate too. We know the square root of 16 is 4. So it should be less than 4. And it looks like here it is, 3.464. So 4 is in the 10th place. We look to the right. Since this is 5 or higher, we round up. So it's going to be 3.5. And again, we use that positive and negative to show that both 3.5 times 3.5 would work, and negative 3.5 times negative 3.5 would also work. Okay, that's the approximate. We also can simplify radicals as well. So this is going to be kind of not necessarily what's new, but a review from that end of the card marking stuff from last year. So to simplify
Can you move your paper down a little bit?
Thank you. Yep. Okay, to simplify a square root, or we can call it a radical. I'm going to go over the steps. And let me just talk for a second while people are copying this down, what it means to simplify. So let's think about, let's use fractions as an example. Different color. . again, you don't have to write this down. You can just think about it with me. If we have the fraction 4/12, we can simplify it. What would simplest form of 4/12 be? Yeah, we could divide by 4. And we could get we could get 1/3. Or we could approximate it by dividing. What's 1 divided by 3? No, what? 1 divided by 3. Not 3 divided by 1. There we go. We get 0.3 repeating. So we have simplest form, we have an approximate. The same thing can happen with radicals. We have a decimal approximate, or we can simplify. To simplify a radical, we're going to break down the radical to its prime factors. So we're going to think about what times what. And now this is not perfect squares, so we're just talking about factors in general. What times what gives us 12? What are some factors of 12? Six times what? 6 times 2. Okay. Now these are not all prime numbers, so we're going to break it down again because 6 can break down to 3 times 2. So we're going to break it down to its prime factors. So we're breaking it all the way down so that all the factors only have factors of 1 in itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for pairs of numbers because every pair represents a perfect square. So we're going to look for pairs of the same number. No, 1 and 12 will not work. 1 and 12 does work, but we're trying to break it down to its prime factors. All right, I guess it's time to disable the chat. It lasted for a little bit. So we're going to look for these pairs of numbers because these pairs represent a perfect square. So what we're doing is we're looking for perfect square factors of what's under the radical, right? 2 times 2 is 4. So really, the square root of 12 could be written as the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. And we know the square root of 4 is what? What's the square root of 4? Good, Rania. Yeah, 2. So we could break this down to 2, and then the radical 3 is in simplest form. That just comes on down. And this is the simplest form of radical 12. Again, am I going to expect you to do this in your homework? No. Should you be able to do it and try to do it in your homework? Yes. I'm not going to mark you down if you don't do it, but should you try? Yes. Because we're going to see more of radicals as we go. So we're going to go through this as we do the homework, and take a look at this simplifying, as a review. I'm not going to quiz you on it, but you're going to see both answers in the homework. So if we go back up here, we have our approximate answer. Let me just pull this back up for a second. We have our approximate answer, 3.5, and we also have our simplest form answer, which would be 2 radical 3. So if you printed the homework out, if you printed the homework or the notes out, there's answers attached to it, and you're going to see the simplest form radical in the homework.
Miss Imanis,
Yeah.
so when you were talking about the homework, you said you didn't expect us to do or be able to do that completely. Do you mean like we'll do the closest or the rounding one and not this one on the homework?
I want you to do both, but I'm not going to be like, you shouldn't freak out if you're not getting this right. Does that make sense? You should for sure be getting this. You should try to do this, but don't start stressing yourself out if you're not quite getting this perfect yet. Does that make sense? I want you to practice. I want you to try, but we're not going to be quizzed on this yet. Eventually, we might get there. We're going to see how it goes. But you should definitely be able to get the approximate because all you're doing is using your calculator.
Could I leave because my Wi-Fi is coming back?
Yeah, of course. And I'm recording
Thank you.
this, so you can we can also, I'll post this recording later. All right, so continuing on, we're just going to keep, this is just going to keep getting more kind of complex. We're just going to keep layering it as we go through. So here, a squared equals 38. This is still in our pretty simplest form here in terms of the types of problems. So same thing, 38 is not a perfect square. We're going to have to use our calculator. The inverse of the square is to take the square root. So go ahead in your calculator, take the square root of 38 and put the answer in the chat. So I know that you can use your calculator. It's going to be an approximate because 38 is not a perfect square. So again, on your phone, put in 38 and the square root key and round to the nearest tenth. You do not have to write every single thing that I'm writing down. I'm doing it for a visual to make sure if you're glitching in and out, or some people might need every step. All right, so you guys should be doing it. So I need some of you I've heard from. I want to hear something that I have or see from people that I have not heard from today. So for example, let's see. Bregalyn, I haven't seen anything from you today. All you're doing is using your calculator. Brian. Fadi G. Jay, Jalen, show me you can do this. All you're doing is using your calculator and taking the square root of 38 in your calculator. Who else? If you don't respond when I'm calling your name, you're going to lose points. Who else? Who else? Who else? Yeah, we're just starting, Abraham. Is it ever, I'm going to say this a lot, it's never as easy as the first few examples. Right, we should get 6.16 or 6.2. Okay, that is the approximate. Let's take a quick look and see if we can simplify. Can 38 break down? What can it break down to? All right, it's an even number, so for sure 2. 2 times what? Thank you, Adeson, thank you, Juju. Yeah, 2 times 19. Now, this is it. These are our prime factors. And there's no pairs of the same numbers. So that means that for 38 is simplest form. So because we don't have any pairs of number, that means that there's no perfect square factors. So our simplest form is just the square root of 38. In the homework, you're going to see both those types of answers. Somebody asked, how did you get 6.2? Again, we're using our calculator. It says use your calculator. In the calculator, if you're using your phone, you're putting in 38 and you're hitting the square root key. All right, let's kick it up a notch. Let's look at m squared minus 1 equals 24. Can you guess what we're going to have to do first here? Before we can take the square root? Good, Susanna. Anybody else have an idea? Good, Juju, Rania, good. We're going to have to use inverse operations to isolate the variable. To get the m by itself, to get the variable by itself. Let's isolate, right? Good, Jalen. Remember our inverse operations, adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing, and then our newest, if we have an x squared, we're taking the square root. So yes, we're going to add 1 to both sides. Still haven't heard from Brian today. Fadi G, Gianni. So what's my answer? Take the square root. What's the square root of 25? If you haven't responded in the chat, now is the time to do it. Yeah, Nurhan, good. Fatima, are you here today? I don't think so. Where's... No. I'm just checking attendance. Yeah, 5. And remember, positive and negative 5. All right. Try negative 8 n squared equals negative 288. I don't see Randy today. What about Silver? Yes. What do we do first here? Think about it. What's going on with this negative 8 in the end that we don't see? And then what's the inverse? What's going on here that we don't see? Yep, Juju, you're right. Somebody help me out. What's going on here that I don't see? And just put the little dot in. What does it mean? Throw it in the chat. Are we awake? Sawan, Rania, not subtract. Right, Jalen, it's multiplying. This is multiplying. So the inverse of multiplication is, all right, you got it. You have to divide. Good.
Miss Minus.
Yeah.
It won't let me text.
Oh, because I had to change it because people were, I'll try it one more time. People were getting, socializing in the chat. Just make sure you're sharing to me. Good, Brian. Thank you. So you're dividing both sides by negative 8. Braylon, I still haven't heard from you today. All right, now take the square root. Good, Christina. Good, Juju. Good, Arclid. Correct. Don't forget, we have 2 possible answers. Oh, Isabella, what did you do? You added. We're dividing. This is division. Multiplication, inverse multiplication, division. Yes, Nurhan, correct. My answer should be 6, and not just 6, positive and negative. All right, we're just going to keep increasing the complexity. 3r squared minus 2 equals 43. Try this guy. Let me just confirm attendance. I do not see David, Ethan, Fatima, Jordan, Justin, Onel, Onelia, Randy, and that's it. Everybody else is here. If any of those people are here, throw a note in the chat. Now for this next, it's like we combined 5 and 6. Think about if it was just a regular old little equation. Think about if it was just 3x minus 2 equals 45. What would you do first? Good, Nurhan. Only one person can tell me how to solve this equation? Good, Fadi. There we go. What about Fadi G? I'm getting everything from Fadi H. There's two Fadis here. We're going to add the 2 to both sides. Inverse operations. The inverse of subtracting 2 is adding 2. Susanna, yes, we will. This is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So we get 15. We're not done though, right? This is r squared equals 15. We still need to take the square root. So again, it's not a perfect square. You're going to have to use your calculator. Everybody in the chat looks good so far.
Hand froze.
What? Say it again.
Me, but like your hand froze. Like your hand, like it froze, like it's not moving.
She says you're frozen, but I think that it's just her because I can see the screen.
Yeah, Juju, I think it's
For
you.
me.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh, okay, now it's better.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's moving. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So we should get, good, everybody, 3.9. Right, we're gonna have to round up. And don't forget, we have our positive and negative. All right, and now since it's not perfect, we're also gonna talk about simplifying. So we break down the 15. Okay, yeah, times. Any perfect squares in here? No, right? It's just 3 times 5. None of these are perfect square. There's no pairs of numbers. So again, this is simplest form. We can't, there's nothing, there's no perfect squares. There's no pairs of numbers. Let me see if I can find one more
Hey,
that
Miss
is.
Sambanis, I have a question about this.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
in the homework, there's
Yeah.
one. I think it's number 3, and
Mhm.
the it's 79, and I'm not sure how we would go about doing that one.
Well, is 79 prime? Now,
Okay.
listen, with the 9 at the end, you probably want to try to divide it by 3 and divide by 9. And I'm pretty sure it's not. You just have to.
It doesn't. I tried to divide it out.
Exactly. So it's just going to be that, and you can do the approximation. So, and I'll show you at the end. I'm going to put both answers up. All right, let's try one more. Let's jump down to number 12. So, I mean, if you were following along with the notes, like if you printed it out, I'm jumping down to number 12 on the note sheet. Let's try this one. So go ahead, walk through it. So tell me the steps. Get some points. Fadi G, I haven't heard from you. Gianni, Eileen, haven't heard from you in a while. Malia, haven't heard from you in a bit. Or Sheena. What's my first step? Just give me the first step. Good. Abraham, good. Nurhan, Juju, Susanna, awesome. There we go. Everybody's looking good. Yeah, we're going to add 7, inverse operations. Right. Good, Fadi. This is multiplication. Inverse is division. Now, think about this. We're not quite done. How am I going to write my answers? We can use our calculator to get our approximate because it's not perfect. And then we can also try to simplify. So I think you need to, so again, if you're using your calculator, we're putting in 10, we're taking the square root. It's 3.162. So because we look to the left, to the right of the 1, we're going to round up 3.2. So our approximation is 3.2. If we try to simplify, 10 breaks down to 5 times 2, no pairs of numbers. So my simplest form is radical 10.
Miss Sambanis, just a little reminder. I think class ends in like a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, we're done. So your homework is just numbers 1 through 12. In the solving quadratics homework packet on Schoology. You can just show your work on a separate sheet of paper. You don't have to print it out. Or you can print it out and put it on there. So it's up to you. It's not, okay, not packet. Let's put document. So let me go show you in Schoology real quick. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to go over to Schoology. So if we go to, it's in the materials, but it's also, if you go to homework and activity, assignments. So, right here, where we have solving a quadratics homework numbers 1 through 12, you click on it. I put PDF right here. You're just doing numbers 1 through 12 of the PDF. And the answers are attached. Your work. Now, if you the answers, it's only giving you form. I'll post all of them, but you're only doing numbers 1 through 12 here. So, questions before we say goodbye for today? Any questions? Questions? Otherwise, I'll see you later. I'll see you Thursday. Isabella, question?
Yeah.
What's up?
Do you have to come in class tomorrow?
No, there's just going to be an activity for you to complete in Schoology by 2 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
So I will see you Thursday.
Bye.
Yes,
and
ask
figure
questions.
out how to do Lyra
Bye, have a
stuff
nice day.
on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can ask questions now, or you can text me if you have questions. Abraham, what's up? Do you want to ask a question now? Okay. Or you can text me too.
Ms. Sambax, tomorrow, if you need anything, I'll be in the building. So
Okay. Yeah, tomorrow I'm not doing office hours because I'm going to I'm not going to do office hours tomorrow.
I'm not sure what they will tell us to do, but if in case I don't know, if you need anything, just let me know. So I'll
You know
see
what? You know
Yeah.
what I can do you mind if I have kids?
Yeah.
Do you want me to say that I can be if kids have help, I guess I could do office hours if you don't mind hosting them. Like, I mean, not hosting them, but helping.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell kids. Yeah, I'll tell kids that. Yeah, okay. That sounds good. I'll let you know. What time's good for you?
I'm not sure. Let us see what they are telling us. Just like text me and I will tell you. I'm not sure
Okay.
if the principal or the office have something for us. So
Okay.
just let me know when do you need me to help you. And I
Okay.
will. Okay. Have a
Sounds
good.
good.
Sounds
You
good.
too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So in case I don't see it, like I don't do tomorrow, we don't discuss anything, I'll see you Thursday,
Yeah.
4th hour.
Sounds good. Okay.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Any other questions, ladies, gentlemen? All right. Have a good day, you guys. Text me if you have questions.